If you've still got some quarters from the 1990s sitting in a jar, one date you'll want to take a closer look at is 1995. At first glance, a 1995 Washington quarter doesn't look much different from any other modern quarter. It still carries John Flanagan portrait of George Washington on the front, and the familiar eagle reverse that had been in place since 1932. But what sets this year apart is that while most examples remain common, a select few in exceptional condition or with unique characteristics can be worth far more than 25 cents. The United States Mint struck an enormous number of quarters in 1995. The Philadelphia Mint produced around 1.1 billion pieces, while Denver added about 1.1 billion more. Combined, that's over 2.2 billion circulation strikes. With such massive numbers, it's no surprise that most 1995 quarters are still worth their face value today. They were made to be spent, and most entered circulation where they picked up dings, scratches, and wear. But collectors know that the difference between a pocket change coin and a collectible often comes down to condition. Circulated examples with flat details on Washington's hair or smooth eagle feathers are worth only a quarter. But uncirculated coins, those that never entered circulation, hold the real potential. In lower mint state grades, like MS-60 to MS-63, a 1995 quarter might bring $1 or $2. Once you reach MS-65, values rise, often into the $10 to $15 range. That's because it takes a coin with sharp detail, booming luster, and minimal marks to achieve that grade. But the real standouts are coins that grade MS-67 or better. In such high grades, population numbers shrink dramatically, and collectors are willing to pay hundreds of dollars for the finest known examples. MS-68 coins, though exceedingly rare, have been auctioned for several $100s each. The story doesn't stop with business strikes. In 1995, the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins for collectors. These proofs were made with special dies and polished planchets, giving them mirror-like fields and frosted designs. Two versions exist: clad proofs, which are copper-nickel like regular quarters, and silver proofs, which were struck in 90% silver. The clad proof 1995 S quarter is worth a few dollars in typical condition, but flawless proof 69 or proof 70 examples can bring 20 or more, especially when they exhibit strong cameo contrast. Silver proofs carry additional value because of their precious metal content. Even at minimum, the silver alone makes them worth a few dollars. But again, condition drives premiums. A 1995 S silver proof in perfect proof 70 deep cameo condition can sell for $50 or more. If you've got proof sets from the mid-1990s, it's worth checking whether they contain silver or clad versions. You can tell by looking at the edge. If you see a solid silver color with no copper stripe, that's a silver proof. Now, let's move into errors and varieties, which always catch a collector's eye. With over 2 billion quarters struck in 1995, mistakes were inevitable. Some coins left the mint with die cracks, where small raised lines appear due to fractures in the die. Others were struck off-center, leaving part of the design missing. The more dramatic the shift, the more valuable the coin. Slight off-centers might bring $10 to $20, but coins that are 30 to 40% off-center can fetch over $100. Clipped planchets are another type of error seen in 1995. These occur when a blank metal disc was punched too close to the edge of the sheet, leaving a curved piece missing from the finished coin. Collectors prize these when they are obvious and not too minor, and values can range from a small premium to well over $50 depending on the severity. Another possible error is a double die, where part of the lettering or design shows clear doubling. These are much less common but can be extremely valuable if genuine. It's important to distinguish between true hub doubling, which is collectible, and mechanical doubling, which is common and adds no value. For a real double die, you'll often see split serifs or clear separation in letters. Let's break this down in practical terms for anyone checking their change. First, find the mint mark. On 1995 quarters, a P means Philadelphia, D means Denver, and an S indicates a proof coin struck in San Francisco. Remember that the Philadelphia Mint struck coins without a mint mark prior to 1980, but by 1995 every Philadelphia quarter carries a P. Next, check the condition. Look closely at Washington's hair. If the strands are still crisp, the coin hasn't seen much wear. The eagle's breast feathers on the reverse are another key detail. On high-grade coins, these feathers should be sharp and distinct. If they're worn flat, the coin has been in circulation. If you suspect you have an uncirculated coin, tilt it under a light. A true mint state coin will often display cartwheel luster, a spinning band of light that moves around the surface as you tilt it. That's a strong sign the coin has never circulated. The fewer scratches and marks, the higher the potential grade. For proof coins, look for mirrored fields and frosted devices. The cameo effect is especially important for modern proofs. A coin with deep cameo contrast, where Washington's portrait looks frosty white against black mirror fields, is more valuable than one without that contrast. Again, silver proofs can be identified by the edge. No copper stripe means silver, which adds both bullion and collector value. So what are realistic values today? Most circulated 1995 quarters are worth face value, 25 cents. Uncirculated coins in lower mint state grades might bring $1 to $5. At MS 65, expect 10 to 20. At MS 67, values can push into the hundreds. Proof coins in clad are often worth $5 to $10, while silver proofs are worth 15 to 20, with perfect graded examples much higher. Errors can range from $10 or $20 for minor issues to hundreds for dramatic off-centers or major doubled dies. What makes the 1995 quarter especially interesting is that it sits just a few years before the launch of the state quarters program. Starting in 1999, the Mint radically changed quarter designs, issuing 50 unique reverses over a 10-year span. Because of this, many collectors have come back to the 1990s issues as the final years of the classic eagle design. High-grade examples and proofs are getting more attention now, especially as more people fill modern quarter albums. Another point to keep in mind is population rarity. A coin like the 1995 quarter had over 2 billion struck, but the number of survivors in MS 67 or higher is extremely small. Grading services certify only a limited number at these levels. That's why the price difference between MS 66 and MS 67 can be dramatic, sometimes jumping from a few dollars to a few hundred. Proof coins follow the same logic. While many exist, very few achieve the absolute top grade of Proof 70, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for that perfection. And that's the beauty of numismatics. Every coin tells a story, and the 1995 quarter's story is about abundance, billions struck, countless spent in everyday transactions, but also about rarity in perfection. If you take the time to look closely, you might just find that one piece that turns an everyday quarter into a prized collectible.